All right, welcome to another edition of the Big Blue Report with that guy, the two-time Super Bowl champion, former defensive captain, Giants legend, Jonathan Casillas, as well as the professor, Ryan Darlington. I am Randy Zellea, backsportspage.com. And you guys can find this show every week on all your podcast platforms, whether it's Amazon Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever it is. That's where we are. We're right there. And gentlemen, the season has started, and I was going to do a welfare check on our friend Mr. Casillas.
Well, I know the season is here, but you got to tell the football team that here because clearly nobody showed up to the first game.
Well, yeah, well, it was one of those things where you can't help but it was like one of those car wrecks you don't want to look but you can't help but stare type of things because man, it was JC, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to use this comparison. The feeling that I had during this game on Sunday was the same feeling I had against the Rams in 2017 when they put 57 points on the board. It was 50-something points on the board, where you felt it was a dismantling, and it was the first time you had that sickening feeling in a long, long time like that. Like, it's been a tough few years, but nothing like that. What was your take from the stadium?
It was bad from the beginning. There was a promising first drive, and I look back and watch the tape. It really wasn't that promising. They just kind of got helped out with that penalty. And, Saquon had some good runs, but Daniel Jones, he was kind of running for his life in the beginning of the game, and he did a good job in that first drive and getting them down, inside the red zone. And then that's when it all fell apart. You had the false start from the best player probably on offense in Andrew Thomas. And then the snap, John Michael Smith, didn't get the snap off the ground. And then the next play after that was a blocked field goal that they returned for a touchdown. And that was the end of the New York Giants football team at all on Sunday, and it was very frustrating to see. And the most frustrating part was when Daniel Jones threw the second interception, I believe, of the day when he was scrambling to the sideline. That was the second interception.
Yeah, it was.
And he threw the ball. He got hit by Michael Parsons, who showed incredible makeup speed on that play. Like this dude is an insane athlete. And going into the game, I was going up to the press box right after the radio show, and there was somebody talking about LT and him in the same sentence. I was like, you can't do that. This guy's making a point because the way he's playing the game of football, Michael Parsons, he's getting compared to LT. And then I watched the game that he played against the Giants, and I'm just like, okay, that's why people are making this comparison because this guy is insane. He's doing things that nobody else in the field is doing, that nobody I've seen do in a long time. And the most disturbing part about that whole day is after Michael Parsons, the premier pass rusher in the league, premier pass rusher of the Cowboys, whatever you want to call him, he's that guy, right? Runs down Daniel Jones, hits him borderline out of bounds. I'm going to call it good because I'm a defensive guy. I'm going to call it fair inbounds. But to the old lineman, you should have said that was a dirty play and you should have beat his ass on the sideline. There was no one that went to Daniel Jones' defense. Daniel Jones got up and watched by himself on the sideline. They intercept his ball, and he was just standing there by himself with no old lineman helping him, nobody on the Giants helping him. And that's when I said, we have a problem here. Yeah. This is a problem. It's a bigger problem than 40-0 because now it looks like, I don't know how the old lineman felt, but like I've never seen a quarterback get hit and no one help him out, especially out of bounds, borderline late play. That's when I realized this is a bigger problem than we realized, even with the 40-0, even with the Giants being dominated and having all those possessions and all that time of the possession and losing the way they lost. That was the biggest issue that I saw because that shows that they don't have any fight or they're choosing when to fight and they're not fighting for the prized possession of the New York Giants, which is Daniel Jones.
And I just want to add one thing to that too. 7 sacks. And not only that, but the Giants won the time of possession battle. That to me is what's even crazier is they had the ball for 33 minutes.
Because you got to remember, in the first 5 possessions, the Giants had 4 of them. So
Yeah.
that's it right there. That and they had 0 points, and at that point, the Cowboys had 16 points with only one possession.
Yeah, this is to me it was a disaster from the beginning. Ryan, I know you want to chime in. Go ahead.
It's just, I've been a football fan for a long time, and I've been a Giants fan for a long time, and I've sat through any number of horrendous defeats, in my Giant fandom. It's just, it's how you earn your stripes around here, right? But I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything go that wrong that quickly and stay that way, right? I mean, last year we were the benefit of a number of bounces, right? A number of little things went our way, and literally nothing went our way. Nothing bounced our way, right? It all went south in any way that you could possibly think. And I think what was most disheartening about the defeat was the thought coming in that we might actually be able to stand toe-to-toe with Dallas, right? I mean, we've been talking on the show that, the hope, and I'm not going to call it hype because I didn't know it was hype at that point. The hope was that, we had done enough in the offseason to get ourselves to a point where we would actually be competitive against these guys. And quite frankly, going in, and it might just have been the fan in me, but I thought we were going to be competitive. So to sit there and watch nothing about our team work, special teams, defense, offense, we lost in all three phases of that game, and everything that could have gone wrong felt like it did go wrong.
And I want to throw one other thing, but this is my opinion. This is how I felt. And then Ryan, I talked to you about a bunch about this. I honestly felt this was a team that was believing its own hype.
Yeah.
That's how I generally felt. I felt that this was a team that went out there going into the game on Sunday, was believing all of the, hey, we made the playoffs, so we're going to be taking the next step this year. This is what they're saying about us. Hey, you know what? We're closing the gap on these other two teams. You know what? When you start believing that hype, and like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. Then you have to. They got punched in the face, and they never recovered from that punch in the face.
Yep.
That's what the truth was, and I really do believe they believe their own clippings, and now it makes week 2. You hate to say it's a must win in week 2, but now this makes this Arizona game
necessary,
a must win.
Yeah.
And like, look, it's hard to pull positives out of a game like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at the stats. So Saquon's numbers were sort of mediocre. He had 12 carries for 51 yards. Daniel was rushing for 13 carries for 43 yards because he was running for his life. But also the injuries coming out of this game. The injuries coming out of this game is a very, very, very serious problem because Evan Neal's banged up. You don't know what's going on with Andrew Thomas. If you look at the bottom right now, I'm scrolling the injury report right now. This was the latest injury report from earlier today. Darren Waller, Deontay Banks, Andrew Thomas is probably not going to play this week.
And Dave said Darren Waller had a vet day, and he said it's been pre-planned, but you can't rely on Dayball for no injury information whatsoever. He's not going to give you anything.
Oh, he's Belichick part 2. Why is Brady on the injured list? It's one of those things,
It'll be interesting though, because I think there are going to be two things that potentially could pull us out of this hole in the Arizona game. Because even going into the Arizona game, and they lost to the Commanders, who credit where credit's due, they played a good game, a tough game against them. But at the end of the day, it's not a very strong team. So you go in kind of expecting that we'll play a little bit better, but all bets are off when you have a game, when you're coming off of a game like we just came through. If we play like we did against Dallas, we will lose that game. Now, you could also say that Arizona is not Dallas. They don't have Micah Parsons. They don't have all of the guys on the front four that are just going to make our offensive line look like Swiss cheese. But I have the feeling that there are two things that will get us over the hump in Arizona: pride and coaching. Right? The guys, Dory Jackson said it in one of his interviews, we should all be embarrassed. I think they are all embarrassed. I think they all want another shot at proving that they're not, not as good as the JV squad at Morris Knowles. They want to go out there and prove that they're professional ball players, right? And JC, you can tell me, I don't know if you've ever been on the receiving end of a beating like that. But my guess is that they're going to want to come out guns a-blazing and show the world that they're not as bad as that last loss.
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely been a part of that. I was on the 0-7 Tampa squad that, you know what? I'm going to save that one for story time.
All right.
Story time. But I've been a part of some really bad losses, and it's all about how you respond, not on Sunday, but this week of practice. You know, and Dayball definitely holds practice at a high regard. You know, so you definitely expect the guys to get after it. But Ryan, Brandy, the practices are now, they're so soft now, you know, and the Giants look like that. They look soft. The Dallas Cowboys dominated both lines of scrimmage, offensively and defensively, more when they were on defense. I mean, it was really bad. And Evan Neal looks worse than he did last year against the Cowboys, and he looked really bad last year. But I mean, he looked really, really bad on Sunday. Glowinski didn't look any better. Andrew Thomas looked average. He looked like an average tackle, which we know he's not average. Bredesen didn't look good. John Michael Schmitz got Jonathan Hankins kicked his ass. And definitely one play just straight to the backfield and made him look like a little boy.
Is this a flush game? I mean, is this just one where you just say, look, write it off, don't think about it, we're better than that,
why?
We move forward?
First of all, you haven't beaten the Cowboys in a decade. What more importantly, you haven't beaten this team, this similar team to 2022. You got swept last year by this team. You got also swept by the Eagles, who has a similar front four and front seven that can basically dominate a team like the New York Giants, who's an average team with a below average line. And you see what happened. 0-4 against those teams last year, 0-40 to start the season with that team, with one of those teams this year. It's not off to a good start. Yes, we can probably beat the Arizona Cardinals. Will we probably beat them? We probably will. But Arizona Cardinals are not in our division.
Right.
They have a little bit to do with to get in the playoffs. But the two teams that we need to beat, should be the three teams, because the Commanders are better than us right now because they actually won a game. The three teams that are in our division, we have to play them twice.
Yep.
And as of right now, we are not on the same page as the Cowboys. And I agree that we've gotten better, but the problem areas are very problematic still.
Yep.
The offensive line was a very big question mark last year. They went out and drafted John Michael Schmitz, and I don't care who you are as a rookie, you're going to get baptized at some point of the year. But it sucks when you don't have people next to you that can actually help you along the way.
Pick up the slack.
They're getting baptized as well. And then the guy on right tackle, who's such a promising draft pick, you know, top 10 draft pick just a couple years ago, and he struggled mightily, you know, not too far away from you. And then your quarterback has hot feet. You can't blame Daniel Jones for having hot feet when he's been hit almost every single play before that. You know, so it was just a big meltdown. After that block kick for touchdown, it was just the biggest snowball effect that I've seen definitely in recent years, probably since I retired, and I watched basically every single Giants game since I retired. And nobody responded. Nobody answered. Nobody was out there trying to, I wouldn't say they weren't trying. Nobody made a play. Nobody actually made a play during the game that can help swing the momentum back. And football is all about momentum, right? It's all about momentum, how it goes back and forth, the ebb and flow. But the thing is, it just doesn't happen. You have to go get the momentum. You have to go take it. And there was nobody out there that made any plays to take it. I saw Dexter Lawrence had a couple good hits, but I also seen him playing average at times. And I don't know if that was because of Martin and the job that Martin and I call him Badass. He's from Wisconsin. So I've been calling him that at Wisconsin. You know what I'm saying? I'm not calling him a badass, but that was my name for him. So I'm going to keep calling him that. But yeah, they looked very good against our strongest part of our team, which our defensive line, and they basically made them look like regular people, you know. And then the defensive line was playing as hard, I think, as they can, and it didn't look like it wasn't enough. You know, it's like they were at Super Saiyan 1 and they needed to get Super Saiyan 2. You know, they couldn't get there. They didn't get there.
Solid, bro.
And against a whole bunch of Majin Boos and stuff. You like that, Ryan?
I love it. I love a little Dragon Ball Z. Who doesn't love a little Dragon Ball Z?
I got to tell you, though, the one thing that scares me a little bit is we said this about the Tennessee game last year, the opening game of the season, set the tone for the season. That the thing that scares me is this is your first impression. Yeah. So your first impression of the season is we just got shut out by 40.
we're not good as we think we are.
Yeah,
Right.
we're not as good as we think we are. So now this same Arizona team that we're like, oh my God, they just got rid of Isaiah Simmons and they got rid of Colt McCoy, who was their quarterback last year after Kyler Murray went down, and they're selling off assets like they're the Jeffersons trying to move their way up. And like you're looking at them and sitting there saying this should be a blowout, but they gave the Commanders all they can handle, and the Commanders, we always look at them as saying they're always a quarterback away. The Commanders and Arizona were neck and neck until the end of that game. So this is going to be a dogfight too. Every game is going to be a dogfight because the Giants. I'm sorry, Ron, let me just finish my point.
Yeah,
Remember what we said last year. Last year, the Vikings and the Giants were number 1 and number 2 in one-score games through the whole year as far as winning one-score games. So the ball bounced the Giants' way a lot. And they're not going to come out and shock anybody this year. Teams are going to get up to play the New York Giants because of the culture they set last season. So now the Arizona Cardinals are going to get up to play the Giants. So the Giants can't just Giants and the Giants fans cannot look past the Cardinals.
Yeah.
By no means whatsoever.
Definitely agreed. But, the question that I have, though, and this is always me playing devil's advocate. I have a freaking tattoo of it. There's always a flip side of the argument. There's always a second side of the story. There you go. That's my man. So we've been saying the Giants, they're just not as good as we thought they were. They're just not as good as they thought they were. But there's another side of it, and I don't think they're as bad as the Cowboys made them look on Sunday. This is game 1, right? We always talk about we've talked about Parcells separating the season into quarters. I'd feel worse about this loss if it was game number 6, right? So, I'm wondering if this is just a perfect storm of, yes, maybe we drank our own Kool-Aid a little bit too much, but yes, the Dallas Cowboys have a terrific offensive line, and yes, Dallas Cowboys have a terrific front seven, and we didn't come to play as hard as we should have. So I'm thinking, and maybe it's the eternal optimist. Maybe I'm saying it because I want to believe it, but I don't feel like they're quite as bad as the Cowboys made them look on.
No, I don't think so, Brian, because I think you just saw the number 1 defense in the league. I think that's what we saw as well.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking, number 14, whoever that got, oh my gosh, he's very good at playing football.
Mm-hmm.
Marquise Bell? Is it Marquise Bell? Something like that?
That sounds right.
He is very good at playing football. He was coming downhill at that safety position, that rover position. He was in the backfield. He was sticking cats. And then you put him with the 2 of the best corners in the league, probably the best defensive player in the league. The Malik Hooker, the safeties are really pretty good. DeMarcus Lawrence is good. Fowler, they got so many guys, and I think that is the number 1 defense in the league. I think they're one of the deepest teams in the league. They have talent all over, and the offense is actually very talented too. And they're the weakest part of the whole team. So you watch the team that has the potential to challenge the Eagles for that number 1 spot in the NFC, not just in the division, but for the NFC. So definitely there is the talent gap is still there. We thought they closed it. But having a star tight end where you can't throw it to him, having the speed on the outside with Hyatt and
you need time.
Campbell, you need to be able to have time to throw it to him. And the teams that you draft against, the teams that you free agency against, is the teams in your division. And they tried to do it. They thought they had a great offseason, which we all thought they did, but it wasn't really enough. Not at least to be competitive at this time.
Yep.
Like you said, Randy, this is the first game. That's the best part about this, that it's the first game. And, I was on that New England team in 2014. I got traded. I was actually in Tampa that year when we went 0-7. And then New England, that was the year they lost their first 2 games. A really bad loss in Arrowhead against the Chiefs. And everybody wrote Tom Brady off. Everybody was like, this is over. This is done. Tom Brady's washed up. And that's the year we won a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but early in the season could be a lie. I just hope it is a lie.
Yeah.
I hope that the Giants got their butt whooped so quick and early in the season that they say, okay, maybe we will take our time to get into the vertical passing game, because we're not as good up front, and we have to have a little bit more time with these guys in a set unit that they gel together because they will get better. They will get better. It is the first game. A lot of rookies playing. Both of the corners, Baker. There were times, not Baker, the corner. Why am I forgetting his name?
Our guy, Banks,
Yeah.
Hawkins,
Deontay
Banks.
Yeah, Banks.
Banks. I said Baker. I'm like, that's wrong. That's wrong. I'm like, what's his name?
DeAndre Baker was the guy who was playing zone while the rest of the team was playing man.
Yeah, no, he wasn't that bad. He wasn't that bad. He wasn't that bad. And Hawkins, right?
Yeah.
There was a play when Pollard scored that they both were free, but they weren't moving fast enough. Now, these are guys that are fast guys. They are quick guys. But this is in the red zone. Things move a lot faster down there, and you have to react a lot quicker. Their reaction times, they were both free. Both of them were free on that play. Both of them. But they both realized run a little bit too late. They both could have made the play, but they weren't in position because they didn't see it fast enough. They didn't react fast enough. Those are rookie mistakes.
Sure.
I expect that from them. But as they're growing, Dexter Lawrence have to be getting off the blocks, single blocks. He can't be getting single blocked ever because he's that good. And Ward, when he's in, he needs to be a dominant run stopper because Ojulari and Thibodeau, they're not. They're more pass rush specialists. Guys have to do their jobs, and they have to do it at a great level because of the rookies that are not playing, that are playing right now. You know, you have to – I'm expecting the rookies to struggle. And I say struggle, meaning like penalties happen, you know, just like we've seen, being a little late to plays, you know, but when it comes down and they're on point, I expect them to make some of those plays like we've seen both of the corners make in the game. They actually made some plays in the game. I expect them to be baptized. I expect them to get beat by veteran receivers like CeeDee Lamb. But Adoree Jackson struggled this game very badly.
Yeah.
Very bad. And I love Adoree. I love that they tried him at the slot, but it looked like he was out of position, and they kind of attacked him early in the game. They were kind of coming at him a little bit. And I didn't realize until I watched the TV copy, and I was like, Adoree struggled. And when your best players are struggling, what do you expect your rookies to do?
Yeah, right. I mean, what always gave me hope about two rookie cornerbacks starting was the fact that Wink's defense is such that if you're able to get that pressure and blitzing, 60% of the time or whatever his numbers are, blitzing an insane amount of time, I think it's 40%, but that amount of blitzing means that it does end up taking a little bit of the pressure off of the cornerbacks because you're pressuring the quarterback. But you need to get pressure for that to work, right? And that just was not happening. I didn't hear Aziz's name called once in the game. I heard Kayvon's name called maybe once. He got a couple of plays in there, but I didn't really. I mean, I heard Dexy's name called once. I didn't hear Leo's name called at all. I don't even know if Nacho played or Ashawn. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just everyone on the lines, both of them, disappeared. And when the game starts and ends on the lines, whether it's defense or offense, you got a problem. And so I feel like, when I was talking before about the two things that are going to get them back in, one of them is pride, the other is coaching. And I think that if anybody is going to be able to get the ship turned around to a certain extent, to the degree possible, it's last year's Coach of the Year, right? So I'm very, very curious to see how Wink and how Dable and how Caff are able to actually game plan a little bit more, get everybody back on track. Okay, we have our wake-up call. Now let's move forward and play like we know that we can instead of what we showed on Sunday night.
And not only that, guys, I also have to say this, and this is also the true fact too. When you watch this game, I had some eerie flashbacks to watching Eli Manning run for his life with Daniel. I mentally had that picture of Daniel going, Eli, Daniel.
Yeah.
I listen. I feel you now. I know. Now I know what you went through since the 2013 to 2019. I know what it's like. Look, the offensive line is obviously going to be the one is going to be the attention grabber. But here's my thing: the next day we get a note saying the Giants were working out wide receivers.
Yeah, right.
That was the part that I was sitting there scratching my head with. JC,
no guards.
No tackles available.
No. Our line is Swiss cheese, but don't worry, we're going to get ourselves another receiver.
We had Josh Azedu on the left tackle.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah. It was bad. And I had a point, fellas. I lost my point. I had a point earlier that I wanted to make. Oh, what was my point? It'll come back to me probably when near middle of the Arizona.
We can edit it. We'll just edit it in. That's fine. Yeah, we'll go.
Yeah, that's all right. Like,
that's a great point, JC. That's good stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the trivia. Excellent point, JC. Excellent point. Excellent. Hey guys, speaking of Arizona, look, I had the stats up on the screen a few minutes ago. I'll put them up right now. Regular season record, the Giants do have a winning record, 80-46-2. So they have a good history against the franchise. The Arizona Cardinals seem to be a little bit in, I don't want to say disarray, but we'll go disaster.
The word on the street is they tanking. That's the word on the street. And I don't be believing that sometimes, but I'm just like, now that I'm away from the game and I'm hearing people talk a lot more, I wasn't really hearing that when I was playing. I'm kind of believing it a little bit. It's like, if a team would tank, probably be Arizona.
Yeah. Why else would you get rid of Simmons for a 7th-round pick?
Yeah. No, there's a lot of truth to that, man.
They are NFL team, right? They are NFL team, if I'm not mistaken. So there's definitely not going to be you show up and you get the trophy. That's not going to happen. The Giants are going to have to go out there and beat this team because even if the upstairs and general manager, whoever it is, because I know the players, they don't want to lose.
Right.
I never been on the team, no matter how we were doing during the season, even when people was like booking their flights to like get out of town, you still didn't want to lose. You know what I mean? You your family's watching and we're all prideful men, so they're going to go out there and put together a good game plan to stop the New York Giants. And they're sitting there like looking at their chops like, oh, these guys are no better than us. They looking at the Giants like, I thought they were the cream of the crop, and they're not. Because that's what the film says. The film just showed them, like they have a dad, possibly 2 parents in the league in their own division. The Cowboys being their daddy.
Well, I was about to say too. These guys are playing for their jobs. Man, I can't keep a straight face while you're there.
No, how could you? Just the image.
Yeah, that's true. Damn.
Redheaded stepchild.
Yeah, there's the truth to that. But these like JC, when we were talking about this back in 2017, when everyone was like, Giants have to clean house when Gettleman got there. Everyone has to clean house, but those are people who are fighting for their jobs.
Yeah,
guys like Devin Kennard were fighting for their jobs. You were fighting for your job. All those guys were fighting for their job, and people were just like, you have to clean house to get new people in there. Well, those people that are playing their heart out and going through everything. They're still fighting for their jobs, even though the outcome on the scoreboard may not be what they want. But those guys are still fighting.
If nothing else, to put something on tape, right? To make make themselves a little bit more attractive down the line to some other team, maybe. So I don't know.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to earn this one. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's only week 2. They got to deal with being on the West Coast. East Coast teams is very dry there. It's over 100 degrees. That's going to do something to you. And it's going to be physically tough. They literally got the shit beat out of them against the Cowboys. And I don't care how much time goes by. If you play that first week, you're going to be very, 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 very sore because you haven't had hits like that. So, oh, man, this is what I want to say. Sorry. I gotta talk about this.
We know.
We didn't really get started on Arizona quite yet. Right?
Andrew.
This was very alarming to me. Daniel Jones has still not fully embraced the when I run the football, I don't have to get hit mentality. And I know Dallas's mindset going into the game. And I'm looking at these guys' faces, Dallas. They have the look of warriors and like gangsters on their faces, bro. Like that's the faces that they have. They don't have guys like that in the New York Giants. At least they didn't show it last Sunday for sure. Right. So Daniel Jones slid on the first drive and got hit, right? If you are the Dallas Cowboys, you're the defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, I would tell my guys he doesn't really know how to slide. He slides very late. He runs out of bounds late. I would take a 15-yard penalty if you hit him because you understand he's a little bit slower than the Mahomes of the world and the Jalen Hurts of the world that are used to running with the football and getting out of bounds or not taking a hit. Daniel Jones has not learned that yet. And the worst part about the beatdown, besides no one helping Daniel Jones, no, that's it. Even Coach Daboll didn't help Daniel Jones at the end of the game.
Yep.
Not
and that
only
was
his lineup during the game, at the end of the game, they kept him in, and they were.
Thank you,
Ryan. They had designed run plays when they were down by 30-something points.
I know.
They had designed quarterback run plays, bro.
Yep.
Like I
don't understand
first
that.
of all, he should have been. Micah Parsons even said it. Micah Parsons said it. He said, "I don't know."
Micah Parsons said it. Right, the guy on the other side that was trying to kill him, he said it. He should have been out halfway through the third. Yeah, there's no way.
Ryan, I said this to you.
I'm very disappointed in Daboll because of that. I'm very disappointed.
Listen, he's human. He makes mistakes. He shouldn't have had a Dory running back punts last year. He does make mistakes every now and again. Everybody does, but the only hope is that he'll learn from those mistakes. Hopefully, we'll never be in a position where we get the shit beat out of us that bad, and he has to make that decision. But I think everybody's going to be hopefully a little bit more protective of Daniel, including Daniel.
Well, Daniel Jones, the Giants, and all of us, we are so lucky that he's actually a very durable guy.
Yep.
Because Daniel Jones, not only does he take hits because he gets sacked, which that's 100% of quarterbacks are going to take those hits in the league, right?
Yep.
Not only he takes those, and he can actually escape from a lot of sacks, which he has done. Especially last year against the Cowboys, not really on Sunday. But when he runs the football, he was terrible. Now he's bad. He was really terrible at one point.
It's improvement. Hey.
Now he's bad at protecting himself. He was terrible. He's graduated
you
to
were
being
crap.
bad.
You were crap, and now you're better.
Not good. He just takes unnecessary hits all the time, and it's just like, bro, if you start sliding on time and you actually run out of bounds instead of trying to see if they're going to hit you or not, you'll actually protect yourself a lot more. He looks very unsure at the point of contact, and Daniel Jones is a great athlete. I give that to him all day. He's going to continue to run, and the Giants need him to run to have success. But, bro, it takes one hit. It only takes one, and he took like 20. At least.
He had. This was the stat that got me. 15 pressures on the first 22 steps.
Yeah.
12 hits, 7 sacks. I think
not including the hits when he actually ran the football.
Correct. Yeah.
And JC, I was on the phone with Ryan when I said the one thing I didn't understand is why he was in the game at that point in time, because you already lost your left tackle in the game for injury. Evan Neal was looking banged up. Guys were getting banged up. I'm sitting there saying, "Oh God, please don't let Daniel get hurt."
Yeah, Saquon was in too. I mean, that part of it boggled my mind.
It felt like a punishment.
2 hard sacks on that last drive he was in, and then I heard Daboll's commentary after the game. Forgot who asked him, but he said, "I wanted him to see it through." What? See what through?
See if we could punch it in.
The game was over when it was 26-0. It was over.
Yeah.
I would have been happy if you would have put Tyrod Taylor in right after halftime.
Yep, I was thinking that too. I gave him the benefit of the doubt and said midway through the third, but I'm kind of feeling that too.
His exact words were he wanted to see if they can get something going. And I said to myself, there's nothing to get going.
Yeah,
you're down 40-0. You have to take your beating, and
it's war, right? You know, like it's war like back in the day, like with the Roman and Greeks and stuff, right? It's like you lost the war, right? Don't send the rest of your battalion in to get slaughtered. Try to get as many people as possible back so you actually have a future and you can actually fight another war that's coming up in 5.5 days, 6.5 days on the other side of the country.
If you're Dable there, I hate to use this expression, but now you have to eat shit like the taste of it. That's I hate to say it. You have to wave the white flag there and take the loss. And look, moving forward, going on to Arizona, and I mean this wholeheartedly. Like I said, Arizona technically is not a great team, but they only lost by 4 points, and they put 16 points on the board.
Listen, there's a reason why you play the game. If we just did it by who should win and who should lose and what the score should be, what's the point? Why even play? There's a reason why you play the game, and the Giants are going to have to go into Arizona and earn it. And it's not going to be a gimme.
And you cannot afford to go into San Francisco next Thursday night being down 0-2. You cannot.
And on your second of 3 games in 11 days.
Right.
Right? I mean,
that San Fran game.
Brutal. It's brutal. There's got to be some semblance of recovery. In order for us to have any kind of chance at all, there's my cat. In order to have any chance at all of any kind of success, there has to be some recovery against Arizona so that they can at least go out there with their heads up, right? And try and put up a fight against a team like the 49ers. I mean, if we play like we played in week 1, we're going to get beat bad by a lot of teams.
Bro, the Arizona Cardinals had 6 sacks against the Commanders last weekend. Yeah, so the Giants gave up 7. The Arizona Cardinals had 6. So I don't want to hear nothing about them being, whatever team people think they are. It's all about matchups. And as of right now, we know the weakness for the New York Giants is the offensive line. And it looks like the strength of Arizona is their defensive line. So Jonathan Ledbetter, Marco Wilson, all of those guys. And we understand how great of a player Budda Baker is. Him back there. Bro, they have a talented bunch on defense, right? I think James Conner is a really good running back. And look, if they can run the ball efficiently against the Giants and get to the quarterback, it's going to be a long day for the New York Giants. This is not going to be easy at all. And add in the elements, add in the dryness, and the temperature being over 100 degrees. They play inside, right?
Yeah, well, it's a roof that can close. It's a retractable roof.
You're out there breathing that dry air, and that affects the way you handle things, So dealing with those elements, with that pass rush that the Giants – and bro, when you see a team get abused and you're just sitting there like, oh, I'm about to kill this dude. I'm about to hit him with this. Now you start working on your moves because you already seen the move that works. So now you're working off the counter to that move because they know that you're going to try that move because it works. Like, this is where it gets fun. You know what I'm saying? For guys like myself who watch film, who tries to feel like if the opponent has a weakness, the Giants have a weakness. And it's the Arizona Cardinals' strength. So the Giants need this is a must win. Randy, you said it. You didn't want to say it. But it is a must-win because if they go and drop this one, they're probably going to lose to San Francisco. But San Francisco is probably the cream of the crop in the NFC, up there with the Eagles, up there with the Cowboys. They're one of those teams that once they get a lead on you, they're going to rip you to shreds. They have the highest paid defensive player in history in Bosa. They have a very underrated quarterback. Okay, well, that's next week. Let's just stick to Arizona.
One at a time.
He's looking at the list I put on the screen there,
and I'm just like, I think honestly, we all were very optimistic about the Giants, and now I'm like, let me smack that out of my head because I'm really not an optimist. I'm more of a realistic person. Realistically, the Giants, they improved on the outside. That's what they did. They improved on the outside and they improved the interior on the defense with Okereke and then adding those 2D tackles and also Isaiah Simmons, right? But offensive line, they might have took a step back because now you have a whole bunch of inexperience along the offensive line. There was a center last year, whoever played center last year, that had adequate NFL experience.
Yep.
John Michael Schmitz, he comes in with no experience, so expect a rookie to get baptized with 2 guards that's next to him that were rotating, revolving doors last year.
Right.
And it looked like it was for a reason, and they got that proven on Sunday. So the Giants upgraded outside, but you need to upgrade inside first. Right. You have to do that. I think they did better on defense, and I think defensively, I don't think they had a great showing, but it really wasn't terrible. It really wasn't terrible. I think on the outside, the rookies are going to struggle because they're rookies.
Sure.
Well, offensively, the interior, they have to man up because if not, the offense for this year is going to be abysmal.
Yeah. So at the very least, right? I mean, we're saying it's a must-win. Yes, I would love to see a win. I think we need a win in order to stay any kind of competitive. But at the very least, I have to see them compete. I have to see them go toe-to-toe and actually compete like they're professionals.
You want to see them fight.
Put up a fight.
There was no fight towards the end of the first quarter. Like, I looked at my wife, I'm like, oh my God, this is just ending the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's one thing with it. Now, guys, I got to throw this out there too. You know, we're talking about what's coming. And look, I also have to let me go back with one thing we were talking about with the schedule. This time last year, yes, they beat Tennessee. The next two games were against, I don't want to say inept teams, very beatable teams. So you look at the Carolina Panthers, what they were last year, and the Chicago Bears of what they were last year. Yeah. It's a major difference from what you're playing with now. And also, again, you have teams getting up to play you because of the way you played last year.
And not for nothing, but you've got teams getting up, just like JC said, but because of the way you played on Sunday.
And not only that, but also you have to the one thing that I did not see on Sunday that I saw all last season was the grit. I didn't see defensive players wanting to run through a wall for Wink. I didn't see offensive players who don't have as much talent that they were, they played above their talent level.
Right.
Those same guys looked amateur on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, and I think JC said it right when he said, the one part of our team that didn't improve and in fact maybe regressed a little bit is the offensive line. And we saw that proven out on Sunday.
Right. But the thing was, Andrew Thomas, Evan Neal, and the rookie center is supposed to be the future of our offensive line.
Sure.
Those are three guys you want to build around.
Right.
But I know JC hates when I say this. You never want to say this to a player. Again, sometimes you're building for the future and you're not looking at it for right now. You're looking at it what it's going to be down the road. Again, you don't want to hear that. And especially when you lose 40-0, you don't want to say, hey, don't worry about right now. We're looking for the future.
Sure.
But
look, he will get better. He will. Yeah. JMS will get better. Right? He will get better. And he will get better this year. He just got thumped on Sunday. But you know what? The entirety of the line got thumped on Sunday. So hopefully this is something that will, lead to a bit of a gelling, right? Sometimes – when you're in a foxhole together, when you go through traumatic events together, sometimes it can bond you, right? And who knows? Maybe they'll come out of this a little bit stronger with a little bit more fight for each other.
And to make the whole thing worse from Sunday, I saw that there was a cat driving JC's car home. I saw it on Instagram. It's got to be true.
Toons is the driving cat.
You know what's so funny? That video that I have posted on my Instagram, I've been trying to post it for a while, and I was going to post it before the game, and I was like, you know what? All the people that follow me that are Dallas fans, they're gonna kill me if the Giants lose. So I waited, and I literally posted it at 2:00 in the morning, in my car. My Camaro, my it's not old, but it's 2010. I have like a couple big speakers in the back, and it literally sounds like that, like the rattling of the cars, the cat's car. My car really sounds like that.
I saw that video on Instagram, and I was dying today. I was just like, "Oh, that's great,
unreal,
that's great." Real quick, guys, you guys are listening to the Big Blue Report here, courtesy backsportspage.com. Jonathan Casillas, Ryan Darlington, here every single week. Don't forget to check out the show on all your podcast platforms, including Amazon Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast Network, Spotify, AOL Music, iTunes Music, everything. We're everywhere. We're going to set up a big billboard with JC's picture on it going like this, saying, check out the show. Yes. And before, by the way, JC, when you were showing your tattoo, I thought you were just flexing. I said, you'll see a major difference between me doing it, Ryan doing it, and you doing it.
Yeah. Mine was not a flex. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. It's definitely a before and after type of picture.
Right.
You're definitely. So, guys, funny. Let's do this week's trivia question.
Oh, yeah.
If you're ready, here we go. This week's trivia question is: question of the week. There it is on the screen. Who scored
scored?
the Giants' only touchdown in the Super Bowl 35 loss to the Baltimore Ravens?
Wow.
Boom! To the fact we got it on the screen now for you. Let's see who gets it.
All right. So if it's who scored, it's got to be a running back, because otherwise there would be some question as to whether or not it would be the quarterback who scored, who threw it, right, or the receiver who caught it.
No.
No. Okay. Well, that rules out running backs then. Here we go. Who scored the only touchdown? I wonder if it's a defender.
Was it Kevin Boss?
It was not.
Was that the year? Was it that recent? 35 was.
35 was what? What year was that?
That's 20 years ago, man.
20. When did Boss play? Like 05?
Oh God.
Because he's older than me. I know that.
That shit was 20 years ago.
This was the 2000 Super Bowl. I think it was 2000.
Gary Collins was the quarterback.
Gary Collins was the
Ricky
quarterback.
Barber was the running back.
Uh-huh.
Who was Toomer was the receiver.
Yes.
Toomer was the receiver.
Yes.
I don't remember.
Shockey? Was it Shockey?
Nah, not Shock yet. Shock was probably like 04.
Okay.
03, 04.
Is this one of my better? Is this one of my
This
better?
is much
questions?
better. Well, so this is, yeah. I didn't actually start watching until like 2001. Let's see.
I'm gonna go with the people I know that was on the team: Amani Toomer or Tiki Barber.
Amani Toomer is a great guess, but is
it offense or defense?
It is an offensive player. It is a wide receiver.
Okay. Who played with
Can I look up the roster at least?
Go for it. Go for
I'm
it.
just gonna look up the roster.
Okay.
I promise. I'm not gonna cheat like that. I mean, we already got it wrong. I already guessed. So
I'm gonna cheat like that.
But I want to guess when I look at the roster. So what was it? Was it Super Bowl 35?
Super Bowl 35.
Okay,
what year?
I believe it was 2000.
2002?
2000 Super Bowl, right?
I think it was the 2001. Yeah, I think it was 2000 Super Bowl.
Wow.
I'm glad I'm able to stump you. The last two questions
Okay.
was actually pretty easy.
So, okay.
We spent 45 minutes talking about the last game and this upcoming game. We're going to spend another 45 minutes on this damn trivia question.
Where is Jim Foster was the coach? I knew that.
Yeah.
Where is Jesse's on that team?
Jesse Armstead.
Yeah.
Was this? Was it Seahorn was on there too?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I
feel accomplished.
I seen Mike Barrow at church one day when I was younger.
Boy.
Yeah. Ron Dane was on that team.
Yeah, baby.
Ronnie.
Joe Jaravicious.
Joe-
Ooh, it was Joe
Joey
Jaravicious.
No,
Joey J. It's a good
No.
guess. It's a good
that's a
All
great
right.
guess though.
I'm not guessing no more, but Brandon Short was on that team. That's interesting. Money. Yeah, I don't know, bro. Who was it?
Ron Dixon, ladies and gentlemen.
Ron Dixon. Oh my God.
Number 87, right?
No,
Ron Dixon.
Oh, Ron Dixon.
he was
86.
Yep.
Wow. I think it stinks in here because you pulled that right out of your ass. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Oh, that's hilarious, bro.
That's a great. I'm glad you guys liked the question.
Yeah.
Great
Ron
question.
Dixon. Awesome.
I love it. Anyways,
Good stuff.
this week's trivia question is brought to you by JC's food truck.
Hey,
JC, hit him with the food truck.
Food Expressions, baby. You got to follow us on Instagram. Food Expressions with an X and a Z at the end.
That's awesome. We're looking forward to trying it. Next opportunity, next show. Actually, if you go to you said it's on Instagram, or you could put the schedule on your Twitter account too.
The schedule. What do you mean?
Wherever you guys are going to be.
Oh, well, not on my Twitter. It'll go through my main page on Instagram and then also the food trucks page, which is Food Expressions on Instagram. We're going to post that, and we're actively, like, we have everything basically done. Like, we have one more thing to get, and we got our permit, and now we're just looking at some zones down in Jersey City around Columbus. and then also around Journal Square. So
All right.
hopefully in the next week or two, we'll have that location and we'll be up and going.
Excellent. That's awesome. Real quick, let's do Extra Point. And Extra Point is brought to you by backsportspage.com. Everyone to join the world of media, check out backsportspage.com. Have your opportunity to podcast, write, and join the world of sports media. Okay. Extra Point. Actually, before we do Extra Point, story time with JC. JC,
you promised us one.
You promised a good one, JC. We're ready for you.
Okay, let me just confirm some numbers, okay?
No problem. While we're doing that, let's do predictions real quick. Let's give a number for the Arizona game. Let's see what you got.
Wow, this was a lot. This would have been a lot easier 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it would have been.
So the offensive line is struggling. The defensive line is Arizona's strength, as we were talking about. I think it is going to be a low-scoring affair. That said, I do think we will be able to persevere, come out with a win. I'm going to go 21-17.
You go 21-17. I'll go next and let JC go last. Look, must wins and desperations. The feeling of desperation comes out, and that's when your back is against the wall. You get to see what you're really all about. And I'm sure that Dable's going to make the team dig deep for this. Arizona just doesn't have enough talent. I think sometimes the talent will rise to the top, and it might get ugly at times. But I'm going to go 31-17 New York.
Oh, high scoring. Okay.
Yeah, the offensive line has to prove a little bit more to me. But I think because Arizona's offense is not that good, I think our defense is going to give them a lot of problems. We have some opportunistic guys on the back end, and I think they're going to create some turnovers and give the Giants some short fields. So I think it's going to be, let's go 23-17.
Okay. Excellent. All right. And now it is time for story time with JC.
Okay.
What do we got?
I had to confirm the end score, but I remember what happened, right? So my second year in Tampa, this is Lovie Smith's first year in Tampa and only year in Tampa because we were horrible. At the time, we were 1-5. I thought we were 0-7, 0-6, but we were 1-5. It felt like we didn't win a game. Joe Flacco and Steve Smith Sr. Came into Tampa.
Wow.
And the game before, we had New Orleans, and we had a bye week. So it was New Orleans, bye week, Baltimore, right? New Orleans, bye week, Baltimore. Of course, we lost to New Orleans at home, or in New Orleans. And I was running down on kickoff, and I pulled my hamstring. Somebody grabbed me. I pulled my hamstring, right? So after the game, and we were headed to the bye week, I asked Coach Lovie Smith. I went up to him, said, "Hey, Lovie, what's the plan for me for after the bye week?" He said, "Oh, you're going to play against Baltimore." It's like, "All right, bet." Because I had like a low grade one, kind of hamstring or whatever, and missed a couple of days of practice. Bye week was good, got a lot of treatment. I was healthy for the Baltimore week. First day of practice, which was either Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday of the Baltimore week, I wasn't on the depth charts. I wasn't getting any defensive reps. I wasn't getting, I was second team, special teams. I'm like, all right, what is going on here? After one of the practice, I went up to Lovie. I said, "Hey, what's up? I thought I was playing this weekend." He said, "Oh, we never was planning on playing you because of your hamstring." I was like, "Oh, that's news to me because I asked you before the bye week what we're going to do for me after the bye week, and you told me something different." And this is the point where I'm in my seventh year. I'm in my 7th year. Yeah, I'm in my 7th year. 6th year. I'm my 6th year. I'm a vet. I got a Super Bowl, underneath my belt. I done started games, played a lot of special teams. I done made a lot of plays. I'm a vet, and I know how to talk to coaches. I'm very respectful. I'm straightforward. I expect them to be straightforward with me. I'm honest with them. I expect them to be honest with me. And he wasn't honest. So I was pissed because I was inactive for the game when I was healthy, right? The worst team in the league in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against a pretty good Joe Flacco-led Baltimore team, right? The first quarter, fellas, Joe Flacco threw 4 touchdowns. It was 28-0.
Oof.
I forgot the end score, but it's 48 to what was the what we scored? Come on,
Maybe they should
It
have
was
had Jonathan
48 to
Casillas in the
17.
game.
And it was
Wow.
38-0 at halftime. Joe Flacco threw 5 touchdowns in the first half, 4 in the first quarter. And I'm just sitting back, not dressed. I'm just sitting back like this. I'm not playing for this team no more. I'm not.
Wow.
That's it.
I can't. You telling me I can't play for the worst team in the league? I'm good.
No,
I'm
that
straight.
but I have a
I got traded to New England like 2 days later.
well, but not only that, but to have a coach tell you
Championship.
that. Let's just say JC ain't throwing no Lovie Smith flowers right now.
No.
Look,
No flowers.
I always wish people the best of luck. You know, it was maybe we call it a miscommunication. There was a lot going on, but I wouldn't say I felt disrespected, but I wanted out of there, man. That was it for me. That was it for me. Yeah. There you go. I like that.
That's my emotional support. No.
I like that a lot, bro.
He's giving
That's
me the
awesome.
finger.
That's
All right,
awesome.
we're gonna do some extra points here. Ryan, we can start with you. What's your extra point for this week?
So I'm infinitely curious to see what we're going to get on Sunday, right? I honestly do feel like there is going to be improvement because we're not playing a team the caliber of Dallas. I also feel like the team will bond over an embarrassing defeat, an embarrassing loss. It was a traumatic experience for everyone involved. I think it's going to make them wake up. It's going to make them see what they have to put in order to really play with the big boys. And I think that we're going to see a better product on the field as a result of it. I think my extra point is the gelling of a team through traumatic events. And I'm thinking I'm going to see that on Sunday, and I can't wait to watch.
JC.
Yeah, I'm just looking for them to respond, man. And it's not like when you're tough, like when you go out and fight, right? You're tough, right? You're gonna get like somebody's gonna beat you up one time. You know what I mean? Like somebody's gonna get the best of you, and the Giants got beat up. But like what really makes you tough is when you do get your ass beat, how you respond to it. That's what really makes you tough. Like we all go out like, and I say it like this. I compare the game Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants week 1, 2023 to like Errol Spence versus Bud Crawford, right? The hype was real on both sides. Bud Crawford was the number 1 pound for pound. You had Errol Spence, who was a promising fighter. They both were, undefeated and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And then the fight was so one-sided that people were trying to figure out what happened to Errol Spence, but maybe there was just a difference of levels, but then also sometimes you just get hit real early and nothing really works for you after that, and I think that's what kind of happened to the Giants. I don't think they're as bad as we saw them, but with all that being said, it's a fact that all of that happened. And it's a fact that they got their ass kicked, right? That's not no subjective stuff. Sometimes that's subjective. That's a fact, right? How are they going to respond? Who's going to be the guys that step up and make plays against this struggling Arizona offense, right? Who's going to be the guys along the offensive line that step it up from the embarrassment that they put out last week, that performance, right? I want to see who's going to be the guys that respond. I know Dayball's going to respond, Kafka, Wink Martindale. I think they're going to have adjustments ready for what they saw last Sunday, and they're going to expect the guys to perform a lot better than they did, and it's up to them. So I'm going to be, watching the game, of course, in the studio, WFAN, and paying close attention to see who's going to be the guy that steps up, who's going to be the guy that looks like they want to go out there and win this game for the Giants.
My extra point is a totally different perspective. The excitement that usually comes with opening a new season for the NFL is not just from the players' perspective, but from the fans' perspective too. You had 80,000 something fans outside that MetLife Stadium ready to go on Sunday night after an offseason of hope, after a playoff win against the Vikings, and I don't want to say a promising loss, but a situation where, yes, they lost to the Eagles. They weren't expected to win, but they knew that the ship was righted and they were heading in the right direction. In pouring rain on Sunday night, it wasn't the fact that the Giants lost 40-0. I think it was more of a shock that the doubt that the fans built up from last season started creeping in. The Giants not only have to win the game this weekend to sort of right the ship for whatever their playoff hopes are going to be for this year, but they also have to earn the trust of the most important people back, and that's their fan base. Because their fan base left MetLife Stadium on a rainy Sunday night devastated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my extra point. Because at the end of the day, and JC, I know I don't want to bring it up like this, but you knew what it was like in 2017 watching MetLife Stadium be filled for your games with the other team's fans.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want that. You want to have your fan base there. So with that being said, I'm going to try and end on a little bit of a better note than that. But, this is the Big Blue Report, courtesy of backsportspage.com. That's Jonathan Casillas, the two-time Super Bowl champion, defensive captain, and Giants legend. And that's Ryan Darlington, the professor, Big Daddy D himself. And, guys, you can check out the show every single week. Arizona Cardinals coming up this weekend. Giants fans.
Must win.
Must win.
Week 2, must win.
Must show.
Yeah. Hope if they do not win, we'll be doing plenty of welfare checks on JC and Ryan too, and then we will pick it up from there. But gentlemen, absolute pleasure this week. This was a lot of fun. Thank you very much. We were able to sort of make the best of a tough situation. Let's go Giants, and
Let's hope they can do the same.
Yeah, we will see. Yeah. We will see everybody next week. Enjoy the game this Sunday, and follow us, Ryan. Ryan, we get Ryan to do it this week. I usually blog during the game. I have a little thing through back.
I want to blog during the game.
That's my turn. Back off, man.
I want to blog during the game.
Guys, there's plenty of room for all of us in the blog. We're all gonna blog. We can all blog together.
At me, hey, Randy, at me during the game, and let's chop it up.
Get it
all
on.
right?
Got it. All right, guys, check us out during the game, and then we will see all of you next week here on the Big Blue Report.